Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 28th Planning Board meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just wanted to remind everyone the emergency exits on both sides of the room. If you have any conversations that you'd like to have amongst yourselves, please take it outside. There's a sign-up sheet in the back of the room in case you haven't. We'd like to know that you are here and for the record. What else we got on that thing? And any resolutions that we're reading tonight, which I believe there's two of, they're on the back table. Copies if you'd like them. Please silence your cell phones and let's get the meeting started. First up, we have meeting minutes. Was there a meeting minutes? Do you know? I didn't think so. Okay, no meeting minutes for approval. We did receive correspondence from George Baker, 1086 Strong Road subdivision. You should have all had that in your packets or electronically. And we have board and committee updates segment. I see Ann Aldrich is here. Step right up.
Hi, I'm here for the Historic Advisory Committee, our overview of what we accomplished last year.
Perfect.
And I have a copy for the secretary as well. As we've done the last few years, we had a historic lecture series. We had 5 lectures this year. Pat Bolger on the history of the Blasey Farm. I don't know if any of you saw that. John Marks, a historian from Geneva, spoke on the Phelps and Gorham Purchase. I learned a lot at that one. Babette Huber did a presentation on the history of the VCS yearbook, the Bagel. It's not bagel. I don't know if all of you are Victor people when you went through school. Blue and gold everlasting, Bagel. Cynthia Hawk, Landmark Society, spoke on the architecture of Victor. And lastly, Wilma Townsend, she's the curator at the Ontario County Historical Society. She talked about the history of textiles in Ontario County. The lectures were printed on site here, average of about 30 attendees, but the YouTube numbers were usually well over 100 watching. So we had a successful series this year.
Those sound great.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've missed them.
I think you can still find them on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
they do have, are they about an hour or so?
Yeah, about
Okay.
that long.
Yeah,
Depends on how many questions people have, and
Yeah.
yeah.
okay, cool.
Okay. Talking in conjunction with the cemetery committee, the tour of the cemetery was done with live actors last May at the Old Village Cemetery.
Can you explain live actors at a cemetery?
They had people there pretending they were people that were in the ground.
Okay. I thought that might be what it was. It sounds
Farmington
intriguing.
did that, or Farmington did that in
Uh-huh.
the South Farmington Cemetery.
Yeah.
Raised some money. Ours was free. So members of the community and other historians, on 2 separate occasions, began the cleaning of 200-year-old gravestones.
Oh,
I don't think there was much damage that we had to repair either.
was this up at the Boughton?
No, the historic one behind the
Oh, right.
Methodist Church.
Got it. Okay.
The old Victor Cemetery. A newsletter was sent to historic Victor plaque recipients to make them aware of grants and other information concerning their historic structures. So if they wanted to, grants if they wanted to do home improvement and stuff. There's grants out there.
Mm.
Okay. Articles were written via the town newsletter about the Historic Advisory Committee's activities. And we supported the need for a barns inventory, and I think that's been started. I'm not positive on that, so we don't lose any more of our barns. And lastly, the committee have liaisons attend meetings of the planning board, the zoning board, conservation boards as necessary. And I wanted to add something myself. I'm very appreciative of this committee listening to our committee. We've only been, I came on in 2012, and I don't think it had been a committee too long before that. But you've all been very receptive to our concerns and supported us, and we are very appreciative of that. So we had a good year.
A lot of good history in Victor. Thanks, Ann. Appreciate it. I think all we have left is Kim for the next meeting.
Okay, so your next meeting, you've got 2 new applications, one for the Fairways Phase 3 re-subdivision of lots 301, 302, and 315. And that, you've seen those before, they're just re-subdivisions of those buildings. And then a pole barn for Trevor O'Shea at 145 Baker Road. Applicant is requesting approval to construct a 32-foot by 48-foot by 12-foot pole barn on 7.5 acres for personal storage. And then we also have 1086 back on that agenda
Okay.
for further review of the Part 2 seeker. And I just want to mention that Dave Condon did text me and said that he would be unable to make tonight's meeting. He had a family emergency.
Thank you, Kim. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, as Kim said, 1086 Strong Road is not on tonight's agenda. It was removed this past week. We do have 2 items. The first one up is a public hearing, Engelbrecht Garage Addition. Applicant is requesting approval to construct a 1,926 square foot detached 3-car garage with a second floor living space. Come on up. Name and address, and tell us a little bit about your project.
Jeff Engelbrett, 7980 Main Street, Fishers, Victor. And basically, you have the drawings in your packet that is an architectural, rendering of it. Yep, that would be it there. And if you go back to the last slide you were showing, the other way back, there were a couple cars parked in the area. Well, you can see it there. It's just in the pull-off that's up on top, and it'll be placed there. Yeah, there's 2 cars that are there parked. That's where it'll go.
That's where it's going.
Really isn't too much other place for it considering the topography, and you can see that in the map that she showed. The hills fall away.
So that's an accessory structure up forward of the house?
Right.
Did you get a variance for
Yep.
that? Okay.
Yep. And the only restrictions they placed on it was that I couldn't have a bed and breakfast type thing there, which is fine. It's in my front yard, so, yeah.
Okay. I'll open up the floor to the board. Joe, any comments, questions? Okay. Al?
Just in the notes, there was a concern around, really picking this directly
Right. The way that will be corrected, and the code enforcement officer pointed that out on the actual plans, is if you go back to that first picture, right behind in the corner, there's a landing which will go up to the thing. We're going to put a door going to the outside.
You have a laser pointer, I think,
Okay,
on the
there.
table. Yep.
Yep.
Just don't aim it the wrong way.
If you want to go back to the first shot of the house, you got to hold it, okay. One more in, just the actual thing there. The picture of the garage. There. So the landing is right there in the back, and the way the plans show is you come up some stairs from the garage and you go then up the stairs to the upstairs. And if I install a door right there with a deck that would come out here and then stairs down to grade, that would solve the problem. So I have to have the plans redrawn because these plans are, internet plans. They're not useful for the state of New York, so I'll just have the architect draw that in.
Okay.
So,
And then just the only other question is, has the septic been sized to ensure that it can accommodate?
that came in this morning, and I emailed the letter over, so I don't know if it got to you in time or not, but it has been checked by Greg McMahon, and the practicality is that the house the structure will be a little bit below the septic tank for the house, so we'll have to have its own tank, but the leach field is down the hill, and so there's no issues there. And he sized it up, and evidently, and his letter states all the footages and things, but they've changed the rules that actually require less leach now than it did, back when the house was built, so he said it's fine.
Thank you.
And Kim had a copy of the letter, and she passed it down, so Al, if you're done with it.
Yeah, I saw it, yep,
Back
thanks.
to Kim. Thank you. Scott? Yeah, Scott?
I guess that's the only thing I noticed. How many bedrooms is your existing house?
Right now, it has 5.
Let's see. Current. Says the system installed was for 4-bedroom.
Right.
So, and do you have 4 bedrooms or?
There's, the way this works is 4 upstairs, and then we have a room on the main level of the house, which we use as a guest bedroom. My wife,
I guess my question is, do you have to upsize the field as well as the tank? You're putting in a new tank, I get that.
Al said no.
Al said no? Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, Greg. McMahon said that everything was fine as far as the size of the leach goes. And the fact that we had to install the tank, that was his only concern, was that the tank itself wasn't large enough.
If the town code person's okay with it? And with me, I guess.
Yeah, he just said he needed an engineer to check the system over, and that's what Greg is.
It's just my understanding it's based on bedrooms, and if you're adding another bedroom, it adds a need to not only do the tank if you're at the max, but also additional lines. But if you have a letter from Greg, it's okay with the town,
Okay,
not my purview.
all right. Yeah, he doesn't mind either. So,
Wes will address it when we're done. Ernie, any comments or questions?
Just that I think it looks very nice.
my wife is really excited about the whole thing. It's for my daughter. She's autistic, and Jody would like to see her have her own place, but she wants to be able to keep an eye on her. So this is across the driveway, so that's close enough.
What could be better?
Well, that's great. I have a granddaughter with autism and
Yeah,
very high functioning, but that's an excellent thing you're doing.
that's just it. We just don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's how she'll do.
It's a good transition for her, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is a public hearing. I don't know if anyone has any comments, questions from the public. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
Well, second.
Ernie moves, Scott seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So, unless there's anything else from the board, I have Wes indicated there's some additions here that he'd like to make.
Yeah, just I'd like to chime in here a little bit. Labella did issue a letter February 22nd, 2023 on the proposed garage at 7980 Main Street, Fishers.
Right.
We had a couple of questions regarding roof drainage, the septic system, and slope stabilization, all of which there is a response that the applicant has provided.
Right.
And one of the things that we've done here just prior to the meeting was take a look at the letter provided by Greg McMahon, the engineer McMahon LaRue Associates, in their assessment of the existing system as was depicted on the drawing that was provided to them to review. So Labella hasn't had an opportunity to review, I guess, maybe in detail, Greg McMahon's response. We can do that. In addition, I've drafted a potential condition here for a resolution that I'd just like to read and maybe have the planning board members chime in on. It goes as follows. Prior to a building permit being issued, that the applicant provide a drawing prepared by a licensed professional engineer that depicts the proposed 1,000-gallon septic tank and method for connecting to the existing septic system, and that the building department finds that the proposed septic alterations be satisfactory with regard to function and capacity.
Sounds reasonable. Addresses the, now, does that also address the size of the leach field?
So that's where, it's very general here, where we've said the building department finds that the proposed septic alterations be satisfactory with regard to function and capacity. I guess we're relying on them to identify whether the existing leach lines, the number of leach lines are long enough and there are as many as are needed. And if they need assistance with verifying that, and if they want to reach out to the town engineer, we could help them review that.
So if we put a provision in there along with this one that stated something to the effect that the septic, the leach field has reportedly been accepted, but these plans will be signed once it's done with the letter to the satisfaction of the town engineer. I don't know if that's too complicated, but
I can't hear you, Joe.
sorry. I was just trying to wing it a little. Adding a note or a sentence about receiving a letter or correspondence from the code enforcement office that the leach field is an acceptable leach field and that the town engineer agrees with that assessment.
That makes sense.
Wes is thinking hard.
Yeah, I was looking at the letter from Greg McMahon. It indicates the system installed was the 4-bedroom system with the quantity of 6 55-foot distribution laterals for a total of 330 feet. Current standards for a 4-bedroom call for 275 feet of distribution lateral, and for a 5-bedroom system, 344 feet. So they're
14 feet short for a 5-bedroom system.
for a 5-bedroom system, yes. And then we're going to add a 6th bedroom via the garage. And, you know, I guess just based on those numbers, what I'm seeing in Greg's letter, they might be a little short.
So the question is, are all 6 bedrooms occupied, or is one of them sort of a combination guest bedroom / study that's not officially a bedroom?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how Department of Health weighs in on the frequency of occupation of the bedrooms.
Yeah.
They don't differentiate. It's based solely on bedrooms and perk rate of the soil.
Uh-huh.
And the plumbing fixtures that are used today are water-saving fixtures, but I believe that when this house was constructed, if the site plan by Rich Washburn is somewhat correct in terms of date, that was under plumbing fixtures that used more water than the plumbing fixtures today. So I think it may be a little more complicated than just a letter, and I think maybe your septic person, is it Jody? Is that who it is?
Yeah, Jody Allen is one of our septic designers.
I think if Jody took a look at it, she could probably give you a good independent.
Okay.
But it's all bedrooms, oil percolation, and plumbing fixtures. That's what.
I think you have it in your records already as far as the system that was installed and inspected, but I do have that, you know, from Rich. I have all of that still.
Okay.
So,
You said you're replacing a septic tank, correct?
a new one, yeah.
Is there space to add, if necessary, another leach line?
Not up on the building pad, but the septic system itself is down the hill,
Yeah.
and it's in a raised area, so it's out of the floodplain. So there is room there, you
And
know.
typically, you'd have space for additional future leach lines. So I guess
That's what the drawing shows.
Yeah.
Rich Washburn's drawing done back in, what, 94 or so?
That's about right, yeah.
And I used to work with Rich. You know, shows that there's shows a reservation area, so I guess the long and short of this conversation is that it might involve, in addition to the tank you're talking about, it might involve placement of another line or two. That's what it would boil down to.
Yeah, I mean, if it's, what do they say, 50 or 55-foot long leach lines?
Yeah, but if there's 6 bedrooms total, that's quite a lot of bedrooms to load a system with.
Okay.
So maybe as an alteration to this, this potential condition, I've indicated, well, why don't I just read it again so you can hear it in its full glory? Prior to a building permit being issued, that the applicant provide a drawing prepared by a licensed professional engineer that depicts the proposed 1,000-gallon septic tank and method for connecting to the existing septic system, and that the building department and town engineer find that the proposed septic alterations be satisfactory with regard to function and capacity.
So
That sounds good.
that, it does, it's very, it's general enough that alterations could include the addition of a leach line in a box or something like that, so that seems reasonable to me. Okay, so that's a prior to chairman's signature.
Well, I've got that, do you want to put it prior to chairman's signature, or do you want to,
Or on, or as,
I've got it as maybe a potential ongoing condition, but I suppose we could, I don't know if Kim has an opinion on
I
that.
would say ongoing.
Okay.
so that would, this is prior to issuing a building permit. Okay, I can go with that.
Are you okay with that, Kim?
Yeah, I think if you put it in there prior to issuance of a building permit somehow,
Yeah,
that'd be okay.
thought you had, yeah, it says prior to a building
Yep.
permit being issued,
Oh,
okay.
he did say
Yep,
that.
right at the beginning,
I
yep.
didn't hear that.
That's it.
B team over here.
I think we can manage it.
Nothing wrong with the B team.
Okay, so it just sounds like
Somebody
you've
has
got
to
some
be-
work to do coordinating with,
Yeah, there isn't any real rush. I still have to take the plans and have them drawn, you know, so
okay.
I figured I'd wait till everybody was happy before I hired an architect to do all that stuff.
I mean, certainly in concept and everything you've done, we have no issues with that, it's just making sure the engineering works.
Yep.
So,
It's fine.
all right. I have a draft resolution, and Wes's will be number 3 on ongoing, right, Wes?
Yep.
Okay. So for the Engelbrecht Garage, 7980 Main Street, Fishers, application 04 SP 2023. Whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact. There are 8 of them. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Jeff Engelbrecht, site plan entitled Engelbrecht Garage, drawn by the house designers, dated October 26, 2022, received by the planning board January 24th, 2023. Planning board application 04 SB 2023 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to chairman's signature on the site plan. Number 1 is standard. Number 2, that any exterior lighting be compliant to code and approved by the code enforcement officer. That would be typically full cutoff lighting.
I was told that,
Residential.
that uplighting was a problem where this print actually shows some, lights in the soffits over the doors, and he said that was fine.
And that's good, yeah,
Uplight it.
sure. Okay. Number 3, that comments and letter dated February 22nd, 2023 from LaBelle Associates be addressed. That the comments and letter dated February 21st, 2023 from Code Enforcement Officer will be addressed. Ongoing conditions, number 1, site plan comply with Town of Victor design and construction standards for land development, including section 4. Number 2, I think we'll just use what you have there as number 2, because this one says that a building permit be obtained for the garage prior to installation, and yours includes that wording. So we'll call number 2 what Wes is going to read. If you want to do that again?
Yep. Prior to a building permit being issued, that the applicant provide a drawing prepared by a licensed professional engineer that depicts the proposed 1,000-gallon septic tank and method for connecting to the existing septic system, and that the building department and town engineer find that the proposed septic alterations be satisfactory with regard to function and capacity.
Great, thank you, Wes. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. We have a resolution as amended. Do I hear a motion for approval?
I'll move.
So moves.
Second.
Ernie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0.
Right.
You're
Great. Thank you very much.
on your way. Okay, second and final item this evening. As I bring up my screen here, Ross Dress for Less, application, 20 Cobblestone Court Drive. Applicant is requesting approval to re-devise 20, I'm not sure if that's,
And there's the third color.
well, whatever, re-devise 23,027 square feet of retail space at Cobblestone Court, formerly Dick's Sporting Goods. An existing entry facade will be removed and filled in with a proposed new entrance, new entry facade, and a new opening for grade level loading dock. Good evening.
Good evening.
So I read what you're planning on doing. If you want to give us a little background or,
Yes, my name is Dusan Bocek. I'm with Onyx Creative. We are the architect of record for this project. And what we're doing is putting a Ross Dress for Less in the old Dick's Sporting Goods space, which at one time moved across the street. And developers trying to fill in the vacant spaces from Plato's Closet to Hobby Lobby. So this is one of the first steps. If you can bring up the site plan. That's good enough there. The Ross Dress for Less is about 110 feet across at the front. It goes from right next to Plato's Closet over. It's a little bit of an L-shaped space with the loading dock now being placed behind the small shops. It's an on-grade loading, so we have an exterior lift, and it will, everything fits there. Nothing has to be moved out of the way. The parking can stay as is. The transformer is there to remain. Everything works very well back there. We will redo the entire storefront. We have provided some renderings with a very neutral kind of a color scheme, except for the Ross blue. And I have brought a sample board just to go with the rendering, so you can see what how the neutral scheme works.
Is the Dover white the top left there?
Correct,
Thank you.
right here. Yeah.
We got 3 different pictures of it here, so.
Okay, yeah. Dover white, the tan color, the desert color, the blue, obviously, and the cream color. They're all in the same family, very neutral. I was out there early today, and I put the board up to the Hobby Lobby and even the closet store, and it works pretty well with all the color scheme there. I didn't see any issues.
okay, go ahead, Joe.
So it appears that this rendering is probably the most accurate in
Nope.
terms of the colors?
Colors, yes, but the signage, they changed. See,
I'm
it's-
sorry?
They changed the signage, the sign layout.
Okay.
You have that, Kim passed it out.
I believe we have updated the renderings. I make extra copies. I can pass them out.
Sure.
Okay.
We can share here.
Is this a set or
Yeah, you
it's?
can pass it down.
Oh, okay. Cheers.
Pages
Yeah, I think we've got that. Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
We've got that
I
already.
believe my colors are a little bit better than what I see there.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No questions. No,
Okay.
it's good to see a reuse, repurpose of the site.
Yeah, agreed. Ernie,
Thanks.
any questions?
No, I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah?
I just wanted to confirm, you're reusing the entire Dick's Sporting Goods store then? There's no extra space after this, right? There's nothing in between you and Hobby Lobby?
Yeah, if you bring up the site plan,
Oh, there is
there's
space?
there's a lot of room, yes.
Oh,
We
oh, there
know-
is?
Yeah,
So you're taking a portion of?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We're taking the portion nearest the closet store, the small shops,
Okay.
over.
Okay.
And then there's going to be another substantial amount still left to develop, yeah. to-
So there
to
still
fill in.
remains additional store
Correct, there
to,
is still space to fill in, correct,
between you and Hobby Lobby?
correct,
And that's pending the right
correct.
business, okay?
I believe leasing is working on it, so I don't know, so we'll see.
I just wanted to get that clear, that's all.
If you could, there's a laser pointer there. If you could just point to the, I believe you got Hobby Lobby's on the right end of that. And then the next one is Dick's Space, and you're carving out that deep rectangular segment? Right. Yep. Question from me was, do you have a loading dock access somewhere in the back of the building? So if that space were occupied, how would you be able to use the loading dock?
Well, there's a loading dock
There's an
proposed as part of this addition, or
Oh.
modification. If you go to the northwest corner of this proposed area, there's a loading dock to the north.
Okay.
Correct.
Oh, I see where you're talking about. Yeah, there's trucks sort of backed up to it.
Or- Yeah,
To the
northeast.
left.
Our loading
Right
is
there.
on the side, but
Gotcha.
over here, this is still available for the future
Mhm.
tenant over here.
Okay. All right, great, thanks. That's the only question I had, honestly. So, as far as the signage goes, I'm presuming with the change, it fits within the required maximum space for the storefront?
I don't know, do we actually get actual dimensions on the signage?
One of these had it, I thought. So there's two logos, one on either side of the storefront that says Ross in an oval. I don't know if you have to add these up to make one sign, or is it considered three signs?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure, but maybe we could follow up with the building department to find out whether those logo plaques are also considered in the calculation for maximum signage.
I would anticipate that they would be, since they advertise the business.
Yeah.
So we'll have to check with code enforcement, but
Okay.
Yeah, I
they would look
believe,
at
I
that.
believe that we will go for a separate permit on the signage, so they'll check that when
Okay.
the submission is done.
So the approval tonight would be for the architecture without a signage. Is that what I'm hearing? You said that you would go for approval of signage later, or are you asking for approval of this?
We'd have to get a permit to put the signage up, so that.
if the sign doesn't meet the code requirements, they're going to require a variance. So I don't, I don't know whether you want to approve it. I don't know.
We can approve it
Minus the
Pending-
sign.
pending the approval from code enforcement that it complies with the town sign code. Okay.
Could I ask one more question? Now that I'm thinking about the fact that you're not taking the entire Dick's Sporting Goods store, what's the disposition of the remaining portion of Dick's Sporting Goods in terms of the facade that will be abutting your facade?
If you look at this drawing, it will remain as is with the striping that's currently there.
Okay, so the
We
Dick's
won't be-
entrance
we-
still?
we- Yeah, we would keep, it will remain as is for now.
is, okay.
Yeah.
So this is a new entrance area adjacent to where Dick's entrance has been. Correct? You're not taking Dick's down and putting yours up, you're putting one next to it, correct? Am I not making myself clear?
No, it is actually the old, part of the old space.
Right, but will
But
the Dick's entrance and will their former sign location?
That secondary entrance that is between what Ross will be and Hobby Lobby, there's another one there in the middle. Can we go to the site plan again? That will stay as
Is that the former Kmart?
the whole space is part of the old fort.
That was,
entrance.
okay.
That was the,
That's right,
yeah.
they trimmed back the building
Yeah.
for Hobby Lobby,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Was this illuminated blade sign under the soffit?
Where are you talking about, Ernie?
If you
Oh,
look
yeah,
at the drawing,
blade.
it's right underneath the two Rs in dress and four.
Correct, right at the entryway at where the door is, there'll be a blade sign under the canopy, correct?
So if you're walking along the sidewalk, you see it as a panel.
Yeah,
Where do
what's
you,
Correct.
right?
it going to say?
Pardon me?
What will it say?
Just Ross Dress for Less.
It's another sign then.
It will be part of the sign package, correct?
Okay. Any other thoughts or questions? Ernie, all set?
Yeah, I'm set.
Matt?
Yeah.
Okay. So it is a public hearing, right? So we need to close. the
Move to
public-
close the public hearing?
Second?
Joe and Al moves in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0. Public hearing is now closed. And if there's no more questions, I'll be glad to go through the draft resolution that we have. So the resolution for the Ross Dress for Less facade, 20 Cobblestone Court Drive, application 03 SP 2023. Whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 7 of them. Whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action on February 28, 2023, and identified no significant impacts, now therefore be it resolved that the project Ross Dress for Less facade will not have a significant impact on the environment, and that a negative declaration be prepared. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Dennis
Arcina.
Arsena, thank you, of, I don't know how to, Onyx? Oh,
Onyx Creative,
Yeah, okay, it's a typo, it's XY, not YX. I'm looking at that, I can't, right?
ONYX.
Onyx Creative site plan entitled Dress for Less facade, drawn by Onyx Creative, dated January 17, 2023, received by the planning board January 25th, 2023, last revised February 27th, 2023, planning board application 03 SP 2023, be approved with the following conditions. Conditions addressed prior to chairman's signature on the site plan. Number 1 is standard. Number 2, comments from code enforcement officer dated February 17th, 2023 be addressed. Number 3, that comments from the architectural consultant dated February 21st, 2023 be addressed. Are there any outstanding comments from that?
I didn't think so.
We strike that? I think he's,
I would just leave it.
okay,
That's okay.
all right. Do I need a statement about the signage, that it's not, that there will be a separate application for the signage?
Well, I believe the permitting process for the signage will probably take care of any concerns, so.
Yeah, and
I
I
don't
think
know if you need a stipulation on that.
Well, go ahead.
that may be the case, and we've got, so for as an example, the code enforcement officer issued a letter, and one of the things that they identified is that the planning board, right, may not increase the total sign area permitted for a specific building or tenant sign. So by the fact of the applicant addressing the code enforcement officer's comments, that should resolve the sign square footage area.
Okay. And that, I guess the only clarification that I was interested in is if these two signs that say Ross on either side are included in that letter.
It's my opinion that they would be, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, is the area satisfactory, or do we?
That's what that condition
Okay,
would address, is code enforcement's comments.
I got it.
It
Okay.
has to conform.
Mhm.
You can approve it the way that it is,
Yep,
but it has to meet the code.
okay,
Otherwise, they would need a variance.
got it. All right, so that has to be addressed prior to my signature. All right, so ongoing conditions, number 1 is standard, number 2, building design plan shall be consistent with the architectural details as shown on the elevations, entitled Ross Dress for Less facade, drawn by Onyx Creative, dated January 17th. No,
It
that would
should be February 24th, 2023.
Okay. I just want to make sure we got the right one. That building permit be obtained for the new entranceway and loading dock, and be it further resolved, the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. So, as discussed, it looks like we have no changes, so for that resolution, do I hear a motion?
Move it.
That
Second.
moves?
Second.
Al seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 5-0. So,
Thank you.
good luck. Nice to have you in town.
Move to adjourn?
Move.
Sure.
Second.
I hear a second from Ernie. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Have a good evening, everyone.
Tim,
You want to meet on Friday?
want these? No.
Okay.